Okay, I'm going to convene this.
Can you mute? Your sound. I'll try.
Okay. I am now going to convene this work session of the Madison Aquatic Center Recreation District Board of Directors on Wednesday, July 24th, 2024 at 6:08 p.m. First on our agenda in the work session, we are going to receive correspondence from the Jefferson County Assessor regarding fiscal year 2023-24 property tax correction and review options for MACRD program and service reductions effective September 1st, 2024.
Madam Chair, just to recognize, I'm so glad to see so many folks here in the audience. This information came to light last Wednesday, July 17th. I was in the middle of preparing the board packet for this meeting and had to do a quick left turn and do some quick analyses. Some of this information, we got a new email at 5:30 today, has changed a little bit. And so Gabriel Solis is here. He's going to help share some of that information as well. And then what we're going to do is have a conversation, invite you up to do some public input so that you have a voice in the conversation that the board is going to have around next steps. This is the first of 2 meetings. We are also going to have a meeting in August where the board will consider the actual adjustments to the budget. This is a work session conversation where no final decisions will be made, just direction to staff will be given. So I just want to be clear about what is happening during this part of the work session. So in the board packet that was posted, it included the email from our county assessor with information about a utility role correction for PGE issued by the Department of Revenue. And when I first saw this, I will tell you it was confusing to me. And I think I may have shared misinformation, not totally understanding it. So I'm going to own that. You know, the way that the letter is written on July 17th is that the folks that are in code area 90, which is where PG&E's property is located as it relates to the taxing areas, it made it sound like and look like that the only districts that would be impacted are the ones that are in this code area. And so as I think many of us on this list looked at this, we panicked. And I would say that there's still concern. When you look at, and this is my financial analysis based on the information provided at the time from the assessor, that we originally would have gotten $293,982 to the MAC from this code area 90. And the correct amount is this $137,600, meaning that we were taking a reduction of $156,000 in last year's budget because it's all based on fiscal year. And so as a local budget person, I thought, great, so we're going to take 156 hit last year. Then I start the year less 156, and I have to cut back my property tax revenue assumptions because we did it based on that old assessed value. Okay, so hopefully it's so complicated. I'm hoping it's making sense. So with that, I took the actuals of our property taxes received in 23-24, which is this number right here. 1.6 million is how much we got between our 3 property tax revenue streams. Took out the 156,000 and came to the adjusted correct amount, which is 1.44 million. And then, because that's last fiscal year and July 1, we started a new fiscal year, I took that information and put it into, okay, that means our beginning fund balance for the general fund will be negative $83,000 because we've taken out those funds from the last fiscal year and we can't carry them forward. Then I need to adjust our 2 general fund property tax streams because again, when we did the analysis, we were doing it based on last year's tax rolls. And then because the funds to our bond fund are also being reduced, we have to transfer money from our general fund to cover the cost of our bond payment. because we didn't levy enough taxes to cover our bond payment because we thought we had more money than we did. And so all of that together is $286,000. Then you add to that we knew when we adopted the budget, we had a $65,000 shortfall. And we were hoping to plug it with grants that we were applying for aquatics programs, for swim lessons. And to date, we've submitted about $138,000 worth of grant applications. Because of this error-related impact, even if we got those grants, we couldn't do them because we can't afford to run the programs without the error-related property taxes. Mm-hmm. So in total, with all of that, our budget shortfall for this current fiscal year was $351,000. And that is a quarter of our operating budget. And so this is Thursday last week. I made a number of phone calls. I talked with and emails. I emailed back and forth with our assessor. I talked with Gabriel over email. I reached out to the Department of Revenue to see if there was any emergency clause in Oregon revised statute for us to change the amount we're levying for our bond so that we could cover the cost of our bond. The answer was no. There's nothing we can do about that. One of the solutions they gave was you can just borrow money from your general fund this year and then levy that extra money next year, but our bond's paid off this year, so we aren't levying bond money next year. So we're in a bit of a pickle. I'm going to stop there and invite Gabriel to come up and share some information that he sent out today at 5:30, and I'm going to pull that up. Might be hard to see. I'm going to try and zoom into the MAC impacts. Can you guys see that?
Barely.
Do you want to go ahead and?
Yeah, so my name is Gabriel Solis. I'm the County Finance Director and also fill the role of tax collector for Jefferson County. So Courtney, I think, has given you a lot of information on this. Obviously, the majority of you have already read the packet and know a good deal of the information and what has occurred with the assessed value having been corrected from the Department of Revenue. They caught an error on the utility roll and didn't correct that until June 12th. Once they submitted that correction to the county, there was also a 30-day appeal period that PG could appeal this correction. And so the information didn't go out to any districts until after that correction appeal period had passed. And that's when districts were notified by the county assessor. The way that property tax refunds work is a little different in that it is not refunded just from the district that the roll correction impacted. It's actually refunded across the board to all districts within the county based on their distribution schedule. So the report that Courtney has up here on the screen for you, and I believe most of you have the handouts for it, includes all the districts in Jefferson County that are impacted, and then their distribution percentage. And then we have the refund apportionment for that refund. And then, unfortunately, we also have to pay interest per state law on this refund at a rate of 1% per month. State law requires that I refund this out of the unsegregated tax account. And unfortunately, that account doesn't have any money because I'm also required by statute to disperse those funds to the taxing districts every month. And so every month, whatever I collect in property taxes, I then turn around and turn over to the districts so that they can all operate their day-to-day operation. So that being said, I don't have the funds to issue this refund today, but statute also allows for a delay in the refund until there are funds available in that unsegregated taxing. I don't anticipate having the funds in that account until October or November when the new tax roll is certified and we start bringing in collections for the 24-25 fiscal year. So my intention is going to be to issue that refund at that time. And you will see in the second to the rightmost column is the dollar amounts to each district and how that impacts them. The MAC are highlighted there, and it is overall roughly a 5% reduction in property tax. Happy to answer any questions you guys might.
What is known back in January?
No, this was not known until June 12th.
If we can hold for public questions and then we'll jump into that next, just so that we're making sure that. Jean, Janelle, are there any board questions?
At the top of this column does say total refund, so that's the total amount overall owed by the rec district in that column. Those three numbers added together.
Correct, so the
That's not per
41,000.
year and
Nope. That is only for this particular. Unfortunately, the reduction in incentive will affect you moving forward because it will reduce the amount of taxes ongoing.
And then I did talk with our auditor, and they said based on the memo we got from the assessor, they would back those funds out of 23-24. But I've asked Gabriel to send me a new email that says, no, this doesn't impact 23-24, it's only 24-25, so that we will not have that reduction in ending fund balance for last year affecting our beginning fund balance. So that is that's very helpful information. Let me be clear, our beginning fund balance is still negative, but it's negative 13,000 instead of negative 80,000 or 100,000, whatever I said it was.
Would be roughly 150.
Yeah, let me make this bigger. So with that new information, I at 5:40 today added this new information column. And so this is all very fresh, and I want to be very clear about that. I have not had time to think more about it than just plug some numbers in. So our beginning fund balance reduction at this point now is not a reduction. It's what we already have, which is negative 13,000. What I did to figure out our property tax revenues is I went back 2 years and added 6%, which to me is a conservative way of estimating what our property tax revenues will be this upcoming year. And that is a reduction from our current adopted budget of 100 and whatever this is. 145,000. And then we will still need to transfer money to our bond to cover that payment. This is the amount but I'm going to recommend to the board that we do 60 or 65. So we have budget authority in case we need to transfer more, in case collections come in lower or something isn't right. So with that, it reduces our error related shortage to 211,900. And our overall budget shortage is reduced to 276,900, which is still, I mean, it's, hold on. 20% of our operating budget. Questions so far? So then I'm going to go back to the board packet. So what staff put together in your packet are a list of options looking at our budget, looking at the new revenues, and looking at the funding gap. And these four options, options A through option D, have a number of things underneath them. It shows what types of limited aquatics and or land-based programs we can offer with those funds. It shows the FTE, full-time equivalents that are required. That's the number of hours of labor that we need in order to achieve those programs. It shows the number of staff that will be laid off as a result of these changes and the number of staff that would remain. So the difference between full-time equivalents and actual people. And then it shows the funding gap associated with that particular option. So the funding gap is wrong on this spreadsheet because we got new information at 5:30 and I haven't adjusted it. So what I would like the board to think about tonight, and we'll, like I said, add a public comment section before the board deliberates about this, is what you add back in as funds allow. Because when we walked into this planning for this meeting at 5:39, this before we got this email, 5:29, was we were going to recommend option C, because the school district has offered to double the cost, double the payment for swim season for their high school swim team. So this year we're hosting districts, which brings 180 something swimmers and their families to Jefferson County. I think the school district really wants to have that event happen. And so this is option C. The other thing in option C is tackle football. Their booster group has been raising money since March, and they've raised enough money to cover the cost of their program. So, and they've already done their fittings and all the things. So we are recommending, no matter what option the board goes with, that tackle football still happens because they've raised the money and it's already, I think, too far out the gate. So that was going to be staff's recommendation, was option C. It allows us to retain 3.5 staff, 4.75 FTE, because we are already 2 months into the fiscal year. So all of our summer FTE are accounted for in that FTE required. Option D, in my mind, is a nuclear option. And because the school district has offered to double their fee, I don't think we need to do option D. I think we can do option C. The other thing about option C is it allows us to retain our lifeguard instructors so that when we're able to reopen, we can immediately hire staff and get them certified in-house and get everything going. It also allows us to retain 2.5 certified pool operators who can help maintain the facility. We have to continue to keep the facility, the pumps, all the things running, because if we turn them off, we're going to have a serious mechanical expense when we try and turn them back on. So for all those reasons, option C is staff's recommendation to the board. Now, with this new information, with the possibility of getting grants between now and August, when we have our next meeting, what I'm looking for from the board and frankly from the community as you come up and do your public input is if you would prioritize, do we bring back basketball? Do we bring back the 9 to noon where folks come in and do aqua aerobics and, those things? What are the things from your perspective that are the most critical services that we're providing? And then we can look and see from a priority perspective and staffing perspective, how many of those things we can bring back. So for an example, bringing back a fitness time requires 2 lifeguards, a deck supervisor, and an instructor for aquatics, aqua aerobics. Bringing back an open swim requires 10 staff. So we have to look at what we're able to staff and what the priority is. So we kind of take all those things into account when we're looking at what programs we can offer. The other thing I want to share, and I'm gonna soapbox for a minute, is that so it's been a rough couple weeks for me personally and professionally, because this is really hard. We're talking about people that I love, that are part of my work family, and they've been hugging me and making sure I'm okay. I have the best team at this district, and the idea of laying off any of these people is really hard. And what I want to say is, I know that there's a lot of folks that are really angry at decisions we've made over the last 4 years, that are disappointed in the types of services we're able to offer. And I wanted to share something that, because I'm a geek and I talk in spreadsheets, I think kind of tells the story. And there's a copy of this over on the table. Oh boy, that's blurry. From the moment the doors opened to this district, there was a negative ending fund balance. The district has never been financially stable. And negative 13,000, and all of these little asterisks are when we think donations were made from local businesses, from conversations I've had. I have no documentation that tells me these things, so they're not listed up here. They're just an asterisk to say, we got bailed out. And there's some conversation that it may have happened these 2 years too, but we were bailed out by different businesses and foundations and community groups until this local option levy was passed. And then you see that ending fund balance, which is this red line, go up. Best practice for ending fund balance is 3% or is 3 months of operations, which for us is about $400,000. So if we were operating according to best practice, we would have $400,000 in our ending fund balance that's not appropriated. We have consistently had negative or more, depending on the grants that we had. And you can see we've got noted different grants we received when we were having a lot of ending fund balance. The other thing that's really important is that there's these brown columns that show how much money was put into the building for capital investment. None. And then it hit us because we weren't doing any of that stuff for the first however many years. So there is a correlation between our ending fund balance going down over the last 4 years and the capital improvements that have been required. 2 lap filters, a leak in the lap pool, the boilers. It kind of goes on and on. And so I'm really trying not to take some of the things that folks say personally, because I know that this is the history of the district. But also I want everybody to be aware of the context and the history of the district, and that from day one, there was no money set aside, that we couldn't have absorbed this tax correction at any point in the history of the district. So I just needed to share it. I'm trying not to be emotional. I'm trying to be very objective. It's a little hard for me because I love this district. I love the services we provide. I love the people that we provide services to. Sorry, board, thank you for indulging me. I'll get off my soapbox. Yes.
Did that have something to do with COVID?
That was COVID, yes.
So in those years, we received the rental money for COVID, but yet we weren't open.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, so there was less staff and obviously.
Less expenses, yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
And most of the CARES Act funding was required to go toward health-related improvements, being able to access things through Zoom. So we did some updates to this room, for example, for meetings. We bought lots of gloves and masks and equipment to help clean. And it paid for some of the staffing as well while we remained closed.
And that funding started in 2019 or 2018?
1920.
19.
So it went from 1920 to 2021.
And what year did you start as the consultant?
1980.
It was right in.
It was right
that
at-
period of the COVID.
I'm looking at Trudy. I'm like, do you remember? I don't remember. 18, 19, somewhere in there, fall. Yeah.
So, and you took over. Was there somebody else doing finances or did you?
Yes. There was someone else, a very competent somebody else doing finances. Yes.
The staff was back there.
I have it. Hold on. Bear with me here. Well, that's really tiny. Fall of 20, about 13.5 FTE
In 2020.
in 1920, and then 2021 we went down to 10.
So I've heard that there was COVID money that came into the district, but I really hadn't seen the numbers before. Too bad that couldn't have continued. We could have used it.
Ah, If there's no
Money.
questions, I would encourage you
Okay.
to open it and I would read that too.
Okay, at this time, before the board goes into discussion on this matter, we would like to invite members of the public to speak. I do want to note, members of the public are welcome to speak to the Board of Directors during this time. Hopefully, you already signed in at the beginning of the meeting to be recognized by the board chair. We do ask you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. We've got a lot of people here and we hope to hear from a lot of you. We are also going to ask you come up front so that you can speak into the microphone. So those on Zoom, if anyone joined, and for the recording, for those who were unable to attend tonight, will be able to capture the information. This is just in the matter of, yes, just for the discussion, correct. Thank you, Trudy. This is just for the information thus so far presented on the tax implications.
There will still be public input during the regular business
Correct,
meeting.
yes. Okay, if anyone would like to speak, we'll invite you to come up now.
Yes,
Yes.
that's this.
That's this. Yes.
Thank you, Amanda. Please state your name for the record.
I'm kidding. I am here representing myself, but I am an employee here at the school. I've kept my mouth quiet, and I'm not gonna do it anymore. There's so much going on, so much attack, so much bullying. There's history, but there has been a lot of changing. We have employees, we have staff members, we have co-staff members that have worked through not only one, not only two, but 3 different executive directors. If you guys want to know by firsthand the differences of those executive directors, you should speak to them directly because they've experienced that full fall through. The pool with you guys, I really recommend getting that added on program as that morning shift for our swimmers and our fitness people, because there are so many of our members and patrons that come in here from Pineville, the other side of the Ochobo's, from Sisters, from Redmond, from Culver, from Antelope, Maupin, Warm Springs, that all absolutely need that water therapy. I am a personal trainer, so understanding what that water therapy does is amazing. I've got people that come in here that were told they were never gonna walk again and are doing so much better than what they started as. We have special needs, a patron that has
Cerebral.
cerebral palsy
Palsy.
or whatever it is. If she doesn't have the pool, she does not walk, she's not mobile. And they come here. We have, like I said, people don't need it so much. It's not just mental, it's not physical. Attitudes are changed when you do physical activity. And it's needed a lot. We're gonna miss a handful of a lot of people, and it's not, in my opinion, their health is needed. Their health is definitely something that they need. And that's one of our goals. That's one of our things, our achievements is to help their health. And that's what we're here for. So keep that all in mind with that option. And like I said, if you want to know the difference between the executives, you need to contact those people directly that have been through multiple. I have been here for 3 years. I've heard the stories. I know the history, and she's done incredible. She is turning it around, and she's turning it around for the best. So you guys really need to really think about your option on that. So yeah.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
those who don't know me, I'm Trudy Hopkins. And I'm just talking directly to the board. And also just a question, you don't have to answer it, but I do notice that on page 14, the bond, you can see the extra amount that was collected. And so one of my questions about the bond, which I don't understand with any of the districts, is that is restricted funds. Even if you collect more, you can only take out what goes to the payment. So to me, that 68 or whatever that dollar amount is still there. And unless something has changed, I think it somehow is still there because you can only make that payment. I understand that, you know, when you put in for that percentage for this year, that's going to be wrong. But the big benefit is you still got the 67,000 or whatever. So it yeah.
With the new information from 5:30 today, yes, that is still there, which helps.
Yeah.
So that's not part of this analysis yet.
Right. So
Yeah,
you
you're
can kind of take the 67. So really, it's just the 714 and 716 shortage that we're talking about, plus whatever for this year's taxation. As far as layoffs, what I can say too, you don't have to lay off 100%. You can do 50%. So I guess what I encourage you to do, make sure that your highest end people are doing highest end work. So, you know, your lifeguards should be lifeguards. You can hire 2 lifeguards for the price of, you know, a higher paid person. So, you know, a lot of places will just lay off. You can lay off someone for 2 days and they can still work free and they'll get unemployment for 2. So don't feel like you have to lay off complete positions. You can lay off partial positions so that you can still provide services. The other thing is just right now, you are, I know this isn't going to be taken well. Your recreation swim is your moneymaker, period. I realize there's more expense, but right now, 20% of your weekday is recreation swim. 40%, well, actually, I need to give you all credit. 40% of your Saturday now is recreation swim. But I say get rid of the 2-hour slots and go for it. That's going to make the community happy. But anyway, I know all of that might be cut, but it's just another thing. Recreation swim is where your money is. Limit the number of people that come so you don't need 10 lifeguards. You know, whatever that cap is, look at your number of people. But unfortunately, if you need money, recreation swims happen, in my opinion. But anyway, that's just my opinion. But I know that this is hard. And as Courtney has said, it's hard. The whole thing is, I know it is. But that's why you guys are in these positions. You have to make those hard decisions. And they suck. So thanks for all your time, because I know that you are a volunteer. And I mean, Janelle, at 15 years, I don't even know how long you've been on the board. And I mean, I can say, you know, I originally worked with Dr. Kemper, you know, like with the docs way back then, coming up with the pool. I know what it was meant for and the hours that they put into it. So anyway, thank you. And volunteers are hard to come by those days. So anyway.
So thank you, Trudy. Yes.
Parker, Madras City Council. On the programs, are there any of those that are like self-sustaining, like your, you know, soccer and basketball and that kind of stuff, is that, is that self-sustaining? Does it provide extra income for you where it would cover it?
No extra income. Soccer is the only one that cost recovers 100% and tackle football.
Self-sustaining isn't gonna hurt you any. So I don't know if any of those others could be made that way with a slight adjustment on fees. I know I have 3 grandkids and it's expensive when you run them all through one thing, but they still can manage to do it, and if people know that it's needed to maintain the activity, I don't think they would squeal too much. They might squeal a little bit, but probably not too much. But anyway, that's all I had to say. And whatever we can do to help and assist, let us know, sort of on how that kind of money.
Thank you, Eric.
I do also want to ask if getting to the front of the room is difficult for anyone, we can probably carry the microphone back to you. So I don't want that to be a barrier for anyone speaking who might want to speak.
Actually, nobody knows me because I just got here. But most of my time, 40 years, was spent in Montgomery County Court. So I saw a lot of stuff that people in rural areas didn't get to see. And I got to participate in a lot of things. Very fortunate and blessed for it. Clarification wise from you ladies, on the grants for which you have applied for money and are waiting for answers back. With regard to the types of services that are provided through the aquatic center, is there a standard, say, list that you follow of places to go searching for grants?
So
For
we,
this type of stuff?
yeah, we have memberships with 3 different grant portals. And then we also have a number of foundations that we've got a history with.
Do you have portals to which you can apply that are open to and not necessarily deal on a regular basis with this type of investment?
Yes.
The reason I ask this, in the 80s, when the Oregon Lottery started, I worked with the private lottery investment firm in Portland that started businesses for entrepreneurs throughout the state. And we took, and then part of my job and the administration part of this, is you have applications for seed capital that could go up at that time to $250,000 per business. Some don't need that, depending upon what they've invented, created, need help with. Some of those came through us, the universities in Oregon, and were approved. Full Sail Ale in Hood River is a company that my group started with and gave them their initial seed capital. Also coming out of that, that was what they call entrepreneurs seeking investors, investors seeking entrepreneurs. But the capital was limited at 250,000 seed. When Barbara Roberts privatized, because we were a different agency, we were a state agency, but privatized with a president, a vice president, the whole thing. So then they forked off with what was called Northwest Capital Network, which is a nonprofit. And in this business, we prepared a database matching service for, again, throughout Oregon. This was Oregon only citizens that were seeking capital and investors for it, only on a different level. So it turned out that we put a lot of businesses on the map in Oregon. And also I wound up running Northwest Capital Network, which was a nonprofit. And we worked with all the agencies. And we got familiar with and acquainted because the people that ran for the business, the searching the business plans, the directors submit your business plan, you see how it goes, you can do diligence and the whole thing. We eventually were able to fund out a lot that they had never expected money. But we worked with other agencies as well as organizations, associations, and through help with them, they would help support us with writing grant money too. So I was just curious if you're limited on what your associations are to which you can send grant money, or if a private investor themselves that you come across with might be interested in those, because we all know there's a lot of money out there. And we just got to hit the right niche. And a lot of the times, the accounting firms in Portland were extremely helpful in digging out investors for small businesses and people who are inventing ideas. And one of the first ones we passed was Antivirals Incorporated, which was from a research professor out of Oregon State on AIDS and HIV in the very beginning, because it was coming. And he went a great distance. 250,000. So those people that succeed with your program, and like you guys saying what you have to say, and I know what you mean, is a heartache, especially when you care about people and you have empathy and you want to help as best you can, and you're searching as hard as you can all over. Keep searching no matter what, because one of these days you're going to get it and the whole county will be grateful as hell. Excuse me.
Can you state your name for the record?
Your name, Dawn. Oh, Dawn Lewis.
Thank you, Dawn,
Yes.
and welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes,
If you
you do.
I have some stupid over my. But as I'm looking at this, it's one I can read closer. I'm missing the aquatics portion of options B and C. I
Correct.
see recreation, I see no aquatics.
There are no aquatics in options B, C, or D, aside from the high school swim team.
Well, I don't know out of high school. But now that I would do my thing, I would be really, really sad, upset. And I'm gonna be down here saying, come on, Courtney, Tiffany, jump up here, come on, let's go clean the pool or something. I don't understand that. I don't know how aquatics can be totally missing out of Madras Aquatic Club and Recreation. Why is it never ranked them? I'm not Courtney, I'm not put any trouble on her. I adore her. She is working her little tail in. And people are so mean to her, and I don't like that. But my question is, where is my athletics? I'll even come later in the morning than 6 o'clock.
So aquatics is not in options B, C, or D because it's the most expensive part of what the rec district does. And so, and it's hard to do it partially because to retain staff. So it's kind of trying to balance that mix. Now with the new information, we're probably going to be able to add some aquatics back in. So right now, option A is the only A that has aquatics in it.
I'm not afraid.
Wait, I voted.
I'm pretty sure nobody here wants to be aquatics gone. I dare say the majority of the people here now.
Yeah. Okay, I just want to note for the record in the recording that was Miss Penny Nelson.
Thank you, Penny. No, my name's Tanya Ryan. I'm part of the World Aquatic team. I've been here for the last year with Amanda, and I've lost 80 pounds. Is there a way we can combine our classes with any other thing that's going on out there? Or maybe even raising prices, cause I'm willing to pay $50 for my membership, or. I mean, a gym is $50, $60. I mean, if the price was 100, I would pay it. Because this is where I need to be in the morning before I go to work. And I can't thank you enough for what you do to all of us.
Solicit the insurance providers, get them to back it.
A lot of them are.
What about the disability act? A lot of us are on disability. And if it wasn't for the pool, I wouldn't be walking. So.
Paul's got something.
Time.
Yep.
My name is Paul Dawes. And for the last 2 years, I've been using this school a lot. All the members of the aquatic membership pretty much see my face there. I was, for 6 months, I was on medical leave. It damaged my feet for many hours on concrete. And, but through the program, I got myself better. You know, I was averaging a mile a day, which I was just to swim down to one side, I would barely make it. But I got better, and then I sprained my shoulder going back to work, carrying too much heavy stuff, and I got better from that. I'm fully recovered, but I've been to every swimming pool in Central Oregon, including Nita when it was open. I've been to the Bend facility, the Redmond facility, Prineville, and I'm getting ready to try to move to Prineville. But I was going to continue to use this pool because it's outstanding. The staff is outstanding. I don't know why people complain about it. I mean, they can spend $6 on a coffee and they complain about something for, I don't drink that stuff, but I don't understand. My whole family benefited from the swimming pool. All my children, my wife, and you know, my son's friends with Dave, and you know, and he was on the swimming pool, the swimming team, the water polo, all these benefits, and I'm sad that I lap swim a lot. And then I do the fall swim, I take friends, kids to come to it, play, I use the facility as much as possible. It's not just for people that piggyback on Amanda, you know, I see all the stuff that's helping people in and out. It's become social for me when I have to work at 7 in the morning now, so I can't make it in the morning, so I do the afternoon, but I see all the people benefiting from this, from the children to all ages, you know, rehabilitation, it's excellent. You know, when I lived in San Francisco Bay Area, you know, no pools compared to this, you know, so unfortunately, when it first opened, I was one of those, it's too much, you know, because I was used to paying as a kid 50 cents to go to a pool. That was in 1975, you know, and but I'm just right with her. I'd pay more. I think that what we're paying for it is fairly cheap. You know, and I love it. I mean, I tell everybody in the world, you know, try to talk to her so they hear from you. You know, but I think you guys are doing excellent. It's sad. I don't know where I'm gonna swim if I have to go to Ochoco Reservoir, you know, I'll get sick the winter because I need to keep going. It's keeping my blood pressure down, it's keeping my blood sugar down, it's keeping my whole body fit. So anyway, I'll talk on that.
My name is Elizabeth Benjamin, and I started coming up to Max regularly in about March. I had actually been looking throughout all Central Oregon for something after school hours because I'm a teacher and there wasn't much open. But Amanda did a land class from 6 to 7 2 nights a week, and so I was able to get plugged into that and then start her Saturday aerobics. And now that it's summer, I've been able to come dating. And I just am hoping that you guys can do something that keeps the pool open and the maintenance running. my concern is if we shut down the pool and drain it, it's gonna cost more money to get it back up and going. And so, I've also noticed a lot of, confusion in the community. People think they can only come during recreation swim, but I've been up here when lap swim is open and the rec pool is open and so I wonder if, changing names of things or getting more, education out to the community to understand when the pool is open and what is open, might see more people. And then, so my concern with this is even if the pool did open back up, it's during people's working hours a lot. And, if our community is gonna use it and bring money, I think, people should be able to come when they can outside of working hours. And then, in high school, I joke with my friends that I lived at the pool because I was on the water polo team. And so, I've just noticed like, I wonder, are there money making things that could happen to help the pool? Like, I remember there used to be a triathlon every year and I haven't seen that in a long time. And then, the day after Christmas, it used to be a tradition that, the water polo team would get back together and just do a, reunion tournament and play some games. And I wonder if, if we had some reunion swim meets or some reunion water polo games and charged for them. I know I would be happy to pay to play and then maybe people would pay to watch and that could bring some money in. But those are just some ideas I have, but I think it would be detrimental to get rid of aquatics in the programs. I know it helps a lot of people. It's helped me. My grandma has Parkinson's and I've been able to get her to come up to a pool this summer. And she's been amazed at how she's been feeling better and her mobility has improved. And I think it's brought life back to my grandma and it would just be really sad to see that taken away. So thank you.
Thank you,
See you
Jessica.
guys.
Before I got it, I'll see if I can speak at all. Can I ask you a question? And the question is that.
Oh, can we get your name, please?
Oh, August Spence.
August Spencer.
Only us, that's enough. Or hey, you, I will respond. But before I see if I sit in the hot chair, in looking at option A and looking at the list of activities. Where is aerobics and exercise like them? So that is the best thing, the first thing that is being selected. Is that correct?
That is not included in option A.
Which I will, so I will take that one. I wasn't prepared for this, but for these young ladies, I am here in great part because of the aerobics exercise. Once you turn over 21, you do not recover as well. And sooner or later, some of us, included, we get hit with some kind of bad things, called diseases, or whatever it is, that kind of get you way down. And I mean down to where you can go this way or that way, right? And then you find out that it takes a long time to recover. And thank goodness that we have good doctors with everything. But one of the first things that goes even with those treatments and those probably experiences is that when you lose mobility, you lose, see if you can help me with the word, but the independence, you lose it. And when you lose mobility, you lose strength, you lose your sense of balance. And everybody knows that we, over 21, if we fall, we break. And we hurt. So I think that one of the things when I moved here in Naga, it took me a little while to find out this place and then say, my gosh, this facility is the best I've seen. And I've been around this country, by the way. So, but that's another story. I won't bore you with that. But I can tell you, this is the best facility I've seen. And then the aerobic exercise that works for us and she has helped me to where, look at this, I think I look like an optical illusion, but it is good, but I can do everything I got. But I'm telling you, it is thanks to the water aerobics. Why? Because you don't fall. Try to do that in the gym. I did. Okay, you fall, try to lift weights, and then even putting them down, you can get hurt. Here, you do it in the water with a good instructor like Jennifer, right? And there you go. Look. I mean, now, I will show you some more, but no, this is not it. This is not the flip. So, in essence, I'm telling you, this is the greatest facility that I've seen. And I'm telling you, I've been to places where they have the gym. And then I understand, and this is information, and you might be wrong, you're gonna correct this, so please bear with me. That one of the reasons that some insurances do not provide some of the service like silver sneakers and all that is because there's no gym. Well, I see a lot of empty space that you can put some weights and stuff like that, call it a gym, and they'll probably say, okay, that's okay to finance it and go to a better insurance for us silver sneakers, which I cannot use here. So, in essence, I do think that we have to realize that sometimes even greater sacrifices have to be made. What are they? Well, propose them. They were already proposed, raise the fee, fine, go ahead. But this is unique. This is something very, very good that we have around here. And I think we should just try to get it. I, for one, thank you for, trying to correct it, whatever it takes, clear it up. I don't understand a lot of this, but you take care of it. I don't have to. I already retired, so. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. You're next, Irving.
I see you do.
Hi, my name is Scott Taylor, and I come typically in the morning to lap swim and spend time in the whirlpool trying to do something about this hip and sciatica. So it's obviously a great thing. I want to get back to some of the financial things of it, and I did come in a little late, so I apologize for that. So you might have already touched on this a little bit, but I believe I read in the Pioneer that it looks like the next opportunity to come up for a new operating levy would not be until May. Is that what has been decided? And I understand, the implications of the library, also coming up at the same time, but sometimes those are the cards you get dealt.
Can I comment on that? I
Yeah,
just wanted
yeah.
to also indicate that the city councils of Metolius and Madras have to approve us being on the ballot.
And I had a question about that. Why did they, since you're your own district, why do you have to have the approval of the cities?
So state statute requires that to ensure that new districts aren't created that duplicate services that cities are already offering. So it's a way of, it's a check and balance on creating new districts and double taxing people for things that another city may already be offering. So it's a rule in state statute.
Okay, but neither city offers swim.
Correct. There's not a duplication of services, which is why in the past they've approved the resolutions.
So this was the first time. Didn't agree to going, and I don't necessarily think that's bad. I was very concerned at the last meeting about the concept of trying to go in November, just because of the very compressed time. With that. The other question I have from a financial point of view, can you explain to me a little bit, because I don't really understand what the role of the Friends of the MacRD and what function they play and how that affects the financing of the pool.
So the Friends of the MacRD is a separate 501c3 or a separate organization specifically created for political action.
Okay.
As a local government, we cannot be involved in political action.
Right.
So that's what the Friends, that's the function that they fill. And if someone wants to talk about that.
Friends of the MacRD has formed and operated under different names over the years. And I've been involved with the last 2 levy renewals under that title, and there have been various community members that have helped start that to get the levies passed, the initial levy, and then the 2 renewals, we've restarted that group. So knowing that we are going out for political action next May with the resolutions to try and make a larger permanent tax rate for our district, we have to dissolve the district and reform, which wasn't clear. There are 2 measures on the ballot, and that wasn't very clear to voters in the short time we had to try and get that information out this past time. So the Friends of the MacRD will be forming a group to start spreading the word on what this organization is trying to do as far as those resolutions.
Okay.
And making a larger permanent tax rate than the 25 cents on the 1,000 that we've had since the initial development of the district 17 years ago. And so that group is just people that support this organization and want to see those measures on the ballot and want to see them passed.
Okay, so the, because you're a public entity too, then, so essentially when the levies that you were coming up, technically you're not allowed to lobby for those because you're a public agency, so the Friends of the MacRD is essentially the lobbying arm to to get those funds through there. And so that would be if they, and I know this is, I'm probably jumping ahead, but you're maybe talk about this the second part of it, about more communication through the community Facebook pages and some of the other things about the history of what the MacRD brings to the community and the value of the MacRD. I think on the last one, because I really think the compressing and the complexity of it, it was more about the financial situation of it, but I think preceding that one, the May one comes up, hopefully there will be more of an effort to remind people about how important the MacRD is to the community and the history. Because when I sit in the whirlpool, sometimes I look at the read report and I see things that you're talking about with children. It's the second leading cause of death in drowning, I think, right after car accidents, such. And so those sort of things, and it also reminded me of the last meeting, because we were at the very end of the meeting, I'm glad I stayed at the very end of the meeting last time. You guys have to cover something that I thought was really important, and that was the number of children in this, I think it was this last year, last quarter, that had completed swim lessons here at the pool. And I think communicating that back to the community, and especially, and there probably, I know from earlier things, there may not be that much history, but if you could, you could say, in the last 18 years, the MacRD has taught this many children in the community to remake that connection back to the community. And I think that would go a long ways towards building up. It's not just a few people here, some people here. You look at the board out there, and I know we're talking about all the kids that have been here, and swim teams and their and water polo teams and those sort of things, about how many kids that have learned to swim here, have been on swim teams, been on water polo teams, other things on there. And I think a real narrative that goes a little bit prior, but also along with the budget, the operating levy information would be really, really useful to connect to the community about how this facility and the recreation actually are such an important part of the community. So,
and those are things that group will be working on from now through May.
okay.
So, and any interested people who want to volunteer with that group to help spread those messages.
Yeah, I'd like
We
to
did.
more information about that.
We are looking for a leader of that group as well. And then I just wanted to comment that we did have a Friends of the MacRD Facebook page during the previous ballot measures, and a community member, we don't know who, reported our site to Facebook, and it was taken down during the election period, and we were not allowed to repost.
Oh, sure. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you.
People.
Yes.
I wanted to see if there was any other questions like the board or anybody in the audience has pertaining to the property tax side of things, only because I have to head out to go pick up a kid. So I don't have a lot more time, so if there are any questions, I'd like to be able to be here to answer them for you.
Sorry to pause you, Irby. Is there anyone that
Yeah.
does have a question that we would need Gabriel Sleece to answer? Okay,
Thank you for being here.
thank you, Gabriel.
Yes.
And early congratulations.
Yes, indeed. Feel free to reach out if you guys do have questions or about me. About any of you, I'm happy to help.
Thank you. Early congratulations.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Irby Dominguez, and as some of you may know, I am very critical of it. Okay, you might have noticed that, but I do not hate on the pool. My kid used this pool, we were up here for 4 years. Swimming lessons, he worked for the MAC, we played water polo, he was on the swim team. I love the pool. I just think we need to do better. And I think the only way we're gonna do better is if somehow we come up with a way to open up to the open swim. Because these hours do not work for anyone. They might work for some other people out there, which is great, because you guys can come early in the morning. I'm at work at 5:30. I can't. I think a lot of our families get off at 4:00, 3:30 that work at Brightwood. So, and they have a lot of kids. The pool is great. So if you guys can help me or sell me something, I would be your biggest cheerleader. Honestly, I would help you pass that, but we have to come up with something. Okay, but it is not working with what we have now, limited hours. I think you have to be open on the weekend. I think you have to get that swim team, get the water polo back in here. I think we have to do all that. So I would like to work with you to see what we can do. Okay, because I know I do a lot of chipping. I really do. I run my chops, but it's not anonymous. I say it, I will back up what I'm saying. So, and I don't have any animosity towards anyone, you know, none. Okay, I want to help because this is a beautiful facility. I don't want to see it shut down. That's not what I want to do. But we have to do something because before the MAC, I'm involved with baseball a lot, about 27 years coaching little league here, all kinds of stuff. So before they ran our program, as in signups, getting the birth certificates together, we can do other things like that to help bring some money, register through the MAC. You know, same with soccer. I think we do that now with soccer, correct? No?
We do not partner with Jefferson County Youth Soccer on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, we need to do something to get the whole community on. So, but I just want you guys to know that I do not hate on it. Okay? It might sound like it, but I do not. I think, you know, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And I think it's with all I think there's mismanagement everywhere, you know, not only the pool, but other places. But I think we can do better and we can work together. But on option C, where you are going to lay off 26.5 people and only keep 3.5, who are the 3.5 are we keeping? So 5. What's that? So who are the 3.5 are we keeping?
No, I'm sorry, I interrupted. I said, who is the 0.5?
So, I mean, is it the top of the food chain that we're keeping? That's gonna make, I don't know, 130, 120, I don't know. We're gonna keep the next person that's making, what, 110? So, I don't think it's right, you keep the top of the food chain. Right? I think we need to do something to distribute that. But I'm willing to help. Okay, but you're just gonna have to sell me on it. This is not selling me on it. So. Okay. But I'm willing to. So
Thank
thank
you
you very much.
And I'm local to Jefferson County most of my life. And looking at the options, I know it's a very difficult thing that the board is facing with everything that's on board. I would like to see options for a variety of age groups, not just high school students, but you know, it was mentioned having some rec hours, so that would be for families. And I think that's really important, and I think when people pay their tax levies, that's really next to the services for their age group. So whenever you can have the service the rate and staff and our needs that I think is really important. I also, just for future, like to see the board figure out how to not borrow money between tax years. To me, that's very concerning, and if this time where we have to already make a lot of hard changes, if that was put in place and we kept it out, I think that to me, it's kind of like spending, you know, using credit cards to pay credit cards. So if there's a way that that can be worked on, that's what I would like to see. So, and I have to leave because I have an important phone. But thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
No. On the side of the sheet.
Maybe, but we get your name.
My name's Kathy Perry, and I'll just keep this short and sweet. We have just moved to Madras. And so I know that I don't have a lot of history in the community, no history in the community. However, our decision to move to Madras was strongly influenced by this facility. This facility is awesome. We have been vagabonds for the last year. We sold our house in the valley a year ago. And we've been vagabonds, and it's been my priority to get into pools. And I've been into numerous pools within the state and out of state. Our scope of where we were going to move was very wide. We had no restrictions on where we were going to move. And we chose Madras, in large part because of this facility. Also, I just want to say that everything I've heard about Courtney and the team here has been very positive. And I want to also give my appreciation to the board. I know that this is hard. I worked 32 years within the school setting, so I know what you're up against. I know how hard it is to be sitting on a board and have to see these kinds of trials coming up. I know personally from being on the HR side, what a RIF is really like. And it's hard, and it's heartbreaking. And I want to extend my appreciation to all of you for all you do. Thank you. Thank you.
I just have to piggyback on that because my name is Becky Bledsoe. I have lived here for a year and a half. Both of our kids live here, so we moved from Illinois and we chose Madras. And one of the reasons we chose where we're living is because right down the hill is where our house is. And I saw on this was here. I'm like, this is the gem. This is the gem for me of being in Madras. It's been a hard move. I gave up a lot. But this has not only been physical, but mental. And I see people in here, and I can attest to how they've improved in the year that I've been in aquatic classes with them. Those aquatic classes are so important for us people who are retired. Yes, I know that doesn't address the youth. I was a teacher as well. I know the importance of having the full thing. But I can't do, like Gus is saying, I can't work out in a club anymore. My knees are they just can't do it. And I have shoulder issues and neck issues, and the one thing I can do is take the aquatic classes. And I have been for the past year. Your aquatic teachers are top notch. And I can only tell you, if this is gone, I'm like, my husband and I are looking at each other, it's like, what are we doing here? We could move somewhere else maybe? I don't know. But no, because I'm telling you, where I was in Illinois, there was nothing like this within a 30-minute. And if I did go there, I would have to pay much more than I pay here. People, you've got to keep this, and we have to pay more maybe. And I'm okay with that, because this is nothing compared to what other people have to do to have these services. Yes, the kids need what they, all of those things are great. But please consider doing whatever you can, raise the fees, I'll pay extra, I'll eat less. Thank you very much, and again, piggybacking on everybody, you guys have the most difficult job, and you're all wonderful, you're all. Thanks.
Debbie Stinson. And I've been coming to the Misfit Beast class, that's what it's called. We felt like the beast got it this morning with his beast. You know, then you go the other way, and then you go that, and then you go this way. I can't do that in the land. So anyway, I just want to say that I lied the other day. I came to class and I said, I felt so good, I did an extra chore. But I want you guys to know, I lied because it wasn't an extra chore, it was a chore. After work, I was actually able to do a chore, which most times after work, I can't do anything. And I can't hardly walk from one side of the room to the other. So I just want to say that the fitness in the morning has really helped me. And I know you guys have a big decision to make. I observed this morning, all of those, the lanes, all the lanes were full with lap swimmers, and then they kept coming. And then this pool over here was filled at 7:15. There was like 6 or 7 of us, and there's another class that came. So there was a lot of people here at 7:15. I don't know what comes at 8:15, but a lot of people coming. Those people probably pay memberships, which are monthly revenue. And I just found out that St. Charles would pay for at least 3 months of my membership. My mom found out that her insurance would pay for her membership because the staff lady helped her figure that out. I think education about that would be awesome for the public to know that, as well as membership drives. When the pool first opened, I remember they really talked to the public about membership drives. And not membership drives, but membership. I remember we got one for a year. Businesses were buying memberships for their employees. So I don't know if we could revisit a membership drive. I'm a member of another nonprofit and can go out and have a fancy banquet and get a lot of one-time money that comes in. But that check that comes in every month steady, is probably more money than what somebody could get at a one-time thing. So more information about that would be really awesome to the public. And how I found out about it was a customer who has cancer comes in and she visits with me about, I've just been to the pool and I've just done this and I've just done that. And she said, well, you can get it, you can get a prescription from your doctor, they'll pay for it. So anyway, that happened. And real quick, I just want to tell a quick story. We moved here in 1972. I am 53 years old. I do not know how to swim. Coming to the pool is kind of traumatizing to me. So I come in, I get my floaty, I put my floaty on. I come to what is not over my head with my floaty on to do the exercise. But I'm saying that because in the seventies, we didn't have a pool. We had irrigation ditches. Did the golf course have a pool? Maybe they had one, but my family couldn't afford it. Our only option was Canita, which is 45 minutes away. And my family couldn't afford that. My sisters were able to get lessons at Canita, but I wasn't able to. And the time came, my parents couldn't afford it. So I probably should be dead now because when I was about 10 years old, you know that irrigation ditch out there at Bear Drive in 97? I got in that with a group of kids and I didn't know how to swim. So I would like to encourage you to consider keeping swimming lessons for this community. Because I would not want any kid to get in what do you call it, the irrigation ditches, you know, and drown or anything like that. So anyway, I think that's all I had to say. Thank you for letting me share. Oh, and when I first started coming on the schedule, I didn't know that if I came to the class, I could also get in the hot tub, or I could just hang out in the pool for that time frame. So that was information to me. And then I looked at it and it said, okay, well, it's toddler swim and this. I'm like, well, a family could bring their children at this time too. They just can't go into the big pool. The slides aren't on. But this little recreation pool is open. So maybe advertising that there might not be open swim where all the toys are open, but there is open swim that you could come to the other pool. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Marshall and I'm just visiting and I've been visiting since May and I'm from Hawaii. But, you know, I come here and my daughter lives here. She just lives, I can actually walk to her house. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna miss the beach, I'm gonna miss snorkeling, I'm gonna miss all that. And all of a sudden I come here and it's like, thank you, Lord, because I can look at snow-capped mountains every day and swim. And it's wonderful. Swim instructors, wonderful. And Jen, I'm gonna start crying because otherwise I'll go crazy. And my husband's gonna go crazy because I don't know what to do around here. And I didn't know anybody except my friends like that. But being here, I was able to meet people. And it's wonderful to see all these, we call kahunas, elders, us, swimming and enjoying, socializing. And we know they're getting better. And you hear the stories like that. And that's the beauty of it. And I know the passion of the people is so wonderful. And I know money, I mean, it's like, I wish I was really rich, I would donate, but I'm not rich. But you know, this is a beautiful place. And I miss the ocean and I'm going back in August, I'll be back. And it was so sad to hear, I'm gonna come back and it's like, what I'm gonna do, swim in the fall leaves, you know? I said, I don't know, but I think it's communication with the community, because I hear people saying, you know, we can't go for hours like that. So I said, oh, I make communication, getting the word out there to bring, and maybe, I don't know, just adjust the hours, adjust the open swim, but keep the people, keep the staff, because they're passionate of helping everybody, helping them, all of us getting better and just connecting. So I just thank you for this beautiful pool, and I just want to pray about that. We're going to find that money somehow, and it'll be all good. But thanks for.
Thank you, guys.
Sorry, guys, I didn't have time to sign on. So my name is Peyton Krila, and I am speaking as a member of the public, but I am also a MACRD staff member. I took my first lifeguard class in 2016, and I had a wonderful LGI instructor. His name is Greg Marcourt, who had a big impact on this district for so many years. And I'm so thankful that he was my first LGI instructor and recertifier for so many years. When it came to sports or aquatics. This
facility has given so much to so many people, and I believe a part of it is they haven't seen it, but the amount of swim lessons and the amount of people who have wellness, I've been here to see that we had 35 bronze kids swimming in 2 lanes. I've seen the swim team at its highest, and it's my goal to rebuild it. It's my goal to help rebuild it. I want to build up those numbers. I want to bring the back water polo. I want to bring, tube polo for people who never learned how to play water polo and, might be a little too old to develop those skills on how to egg beater properly. I know the board has a hard decision to make, and I know that these options aren't easy. As a whole, though, I want people to know that even though I'm very much aquatics, that me seeing the options where we have to cut recreation at all, because if we have to cut open gym, how many teenagers is that out on the street doing God knows what at hours of the night where they could be in our gym doing something productive and something that they love to do and want to get better at. I want kids in here doing swim lessons because it's my overall mission, and I would say probably the MACRD's mission is to, when our kids come here for swim lessons, that they leave this place a safer swimmer than when they started. I've heard testimonies where, people have felt pushed out from this pool because they weren't the best swimmer. As long as you're getting in the water and moving, it doesn't matter how you look. Now, you should be safe. I want to keep that in mind. I want to preface that. You should be safe. Just like she said, she doesn't know how to swim, but she's still putting that floaty on and getting in the water, and putting a bathing suit on is so vulnerable. That fear, whether it's generational fear because your parents didn't, you're scared of it. I want to break those boundaries, and I want to do that here for this district. I know that, like I said, these are hard decisions that we have to make, but I think overall, it's my faith that you guys will make the decision that will best put this district forward. And we started this district as a pool, but as a recreation district, and pools are expensive. And, we can cut and add programming, we can limit, but overall, we have to have both land and water. And I know a lot of people just wanted the pool to begin with, but we need both, not just for our kids, but for all ages. I mean, we need to keep people moving, we need to keep people healthy, and that's the only way to do it. My grandma had Parkinson's, and she swam here for years. She was also big in the school district. She taught Spanish and French here for 20 years in the 509J school district. And the reason was delayed for so long is because of this facility. So it touches a special place in my heart. And all the staff members that came before me, who are no longer here, I carry a part of them here. And they touched a lot of people, and they did the championships for water polo, and they swam on the team. I'm really proud to be a part of this organization. And I fought really hard and worked my little tushy off for this organization, and have worked for this community. And I care a lot about this place. This place is my home. Sometimes I'm here more than I'm even at my own house. But at the end of the day, you guys will make the decision that will keep this district as whole as we possibly can. And money's hard, and we can see that I don't think any person who's ever worked here had any bad intentions. I don't think that they were doing the best with what they had. And that's all we can ask for, is to try to do the best that we can with what we have. And that means hard decisions. But my goal and my hope is that I don't have to go through another closure again, whether we have to close temporarily or not. I thought I was done with COVID. I was like, if I just make it through COVID, that's the last time this facility will have to shut down. That's the last time I have to not see my favorite place empty. But if a closure means that we can finally turn this ship around and sail it into success where, you know, Courtney, she has done so well and she hates it that she has never wanted to ask the people who have been bailing us out for years for money to help, you know, just push the pool through one more year, push the pool through one more year. She has fought so hard to try to make us sustaining, not making money. Pools don't make money, guys. They're expensive. They are so expensive. But to be sustaining. And so that way we don't have to go to Keith and we don't have to go to Brightwood, sorry, some organization, but we don't have to keep going back to the Bean Foundation because we're just living in the same cycle. We gotta change the cycle. We gotta break it. Otherwise, we're gonna be back here in 2 years saying, what do we do now, guys? We tried this, and this didn't work. To my community members, if anybody's out there on Zoom as well, zooming in, you know, come up here, talk to us. Open door, open meeting, you know. If you have questions, and even if you're mad at us, come up here. Let us know. We know what our problems are, but we don't know how you see and what your problems with us are unless you guys speak your voice. Like Irby said, he's loud. He is loud. You know, be loud. Fight for the pool and fight for the rec district with us. You know, I went to a wonderful conference and there was this beautiful woman and she said, what tends to happen is that when people are having an argument, you know, they have the same point, but they have to take that moment and take a breath and see that they're fighting for the same thing, but you need to listen and you need to also be heard. So I want people to understand that I think we all have the same point. We want our kids in here. We want open swims. We want our fitness classes. We want our rec programs for our kids. We all want the same thing. I think this is one of those moments where I feel like this is where the community can build itself and fight for it together instead of butting each other's heads. And yeah, thank you for listening to me, guys.
Maybe we need to get a hold of the Olympics. They're funding people, and why don't we have Olympics here? Yeah. No, I mean, for money, even for grant money, I don't know that it is or isn't even an option, but that money, they have a lot of money running the Olympics for all of them.
We do apply for USAA swimming grants, but
Just,
yeah. No stone unturned.
Yeah. Would anyone else like to speak? Okay, before we jump into board discussion, I do want to say thank you all for coming, for taking the time for speaking, and I hope we've secured more PAC members as we look for the next election. So now we will move on to board discussion on this subject. And everyone is welcome to stay. Don't feel that you need to leave, but does anyone want to start us on? Get here.
When did Lynn get here? I missed it.
To the audience. Yeah, so we'll talk about the. I missed that. So just to recalibrate to the board, we are discussing the implications of the tax correction and reviewing options for MACRD program and service reductions. Yeah.
No, those are not the correct amounts because the correction came at 5:31 this afternoon. So what staff is hoping and looking for is some indication from the board of your priorities as we look at a budget adjustment to account for this tax correction. We would like to know if the board is comfortable starting from option C, which is high school swim team and tackle football, recognizing that the school district is paying double to ensure that that high school swim season happens. And then from there, as budget allows, what are your priorities for programs and services that we add back in? to that budget. And then what we will do is in the August meeting, we will bring to you a budget proposal that uses that information, essentially to make the proposal.
Anyone want to start us off? Anyone want to start us off? Nobody? Nobody. But just for the recording if someone listens later.
I think I'd really like to look at the numbers for you, so you can, now that you've got new information, put some more solid numbers together. But bottom line is, we gotta get a little money in reserves. And we're gonna have some maintenance issues, we know that. We knew that we were one more mechanical failure from closing the door, that's just kind of. So. It's all gonna unfortunately come down to the money. And I know we heard a lot of comment from the public. We've got a lot of different users and none of us are happy about this. So we really need to, I guess, go back, crunch the numbers. My hopes is that maybe some of the community takes over those land-based programs to get us through this winter. And optimistic, hopefully we can pass the permanent rate levy come May. But it's weathering the storm from now until then.
I am unfortunately in agreement that we start with option C. I have a very hard time looking at options A and B where we are in the negative over $100,000. Even with the correction information to be that far in the negative. I think that has been part of the problem that we have been treading water with this entire time. I agree with the community members. I mean, I agree with everybody. We want to be open. I mean,
it's not a matter of wanting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's like far beyond that because the vote needed to go a different way for this to not be a reality. I mean, to me, this is just also concerning even in this level because of the amount of money. I mean, it still is at now, I mean, I think it's just in a slightly worse position. Prior to, the things not passing, because if there's another failure, the only thing that will keep anything going will be only through donation. And, I mean, it's just absolutely not fiscally responsible to choose any of these options. I don't feel like they're.
And if we're ready to talk priorities for what we direct staff to look at bringing back sooner, in my mind, it is aquatic services, it is swim lessons, it is getting folks in the pool, it's aerobics, it's lap swim. It's looking to leverage the additional pools we have, and communicating open rec is not. Open swim is not limited to open rec, so that it's not just a matter of having the swing and the diving board. Folks can come in and use the pool. Because I do agree that we need to make sure that we are serving as much of the community as possible. While we care about the kids and want to focus on the kids, I think that we also need to make sure that we are serving as many people as possible. And me coming in the morning and seeing my lap swim friends, I do see how impactful it is having the services and having the programs for people. So yeah, I know that we get a lot of requests from the community to concentrate on open rec, but I think that we need to make sure we're serving as many people as possible.
I think there's a misconception out there with the public. They think that open rec swim actually generates the surplus of funds, not knowing what it costs to.
Yeah, that is the greatest depleter of. Again, I mean, I think the information has been out there. I think there's certain people that just want that as a service, right? Or some of.
We could charge $29 per person, like, hey, to come in and swim all you want, and maybe either.
Well, and I think the other thing too is that in the last year, because we've added all these different membership options, our memberships have almost doubled. And so that now has become It used to be that open swims were the revenue generator. But in the last year, because of all these new membership options, that is now our number one source of revenue as it relates to aquatics, is those memberships that we're getting through the Fitness RX program and Optum Fitness and Ash Fitness and Silver and Fit and all those different options that we have.
And the people getting those are not primarily using Rex.
No, those folks are working out from 6 to noon in the mornings.
I mean, we've spent so much time and money collecting data that to me, it's all of, like, I don't think of it as a board member or as a vote. I don't think of it as, what do I want to see on here? What do I want to see? Of course, I want to see things that pertain to my family or employees I work with and their families, right? That's not, or what I know those people use. To me, it's like it's not a personal preference. I think we should go off the data of the users, the people that do participate, and the people that are paying money to use the services. I mean, we've spent so much on doing the survey, all the data we have all of the user and times and frequencies and costs, and we didn't have any of that when I started as a board member to make any form of a decision. And so I think it should be based on what we can afford to keep things open and what are the user and the data results that we've gotten is what should drive what comes back or doesn't based on what can be afforded.
I was just curious on our open rec schools that we had this summer, are they filling up?
I think we've had 3 so far this summer that were full. The rest have not been. And full right now can be anywhere between 120 and 160, depending on if we've got that extra lifeguard that calls out sick or not, or doesn't show up.
So I think at that point, we have to just go through the list of what is and like the cost recovery on the latest thing of what sport and activities, because obviously a lot of these went to their own private fundraising.
How many lanes does the high school swim team use?
Depends on how many swimmers they have. Usually, like the last couple seasons, they've used 3, and then the youth swim team uses the other 3 during that winter season.
I was just curious why MST isn't listed with MHS 17 on option C.
I haven't had a chance to talk with them, but it does mean a doubling in the cost, and I'm presuming that may be a barrier. But I haven't had a chance to have that conversation yet.
Double.
The fee for using the pool.
Here's just another thought on that too. If 509J does step up and, pay to run the facility and the other half of this pool is sitting there, could we use some fitness classes during those times?
If we have staff. Yes.
Staff to teach or staff?
If we have enough, so the staffing that we have on option C right now is 3 certified lifeguards that would be available during that time. If there are more than 40 people in the pool, then we have to have 2 guards on. So it's just a matter of staffing and whether or not we could have enough coverage in order to do that. But that's part of this financial analysis. And part of what we looked at was we have so many staff members that wear multiple hats that it makes it easier to keep someone if we have multiple things that are happening. And so that was part of that analysis as well. And it will be as we look at these next steps as well.
I mean, they're
I have to say, you girls all know that I'm not a heavy user of the pool. I don't even have family that's a heavy user of the pool. I just volunteered because I wanted to do something for my community to serve on this pool board. So I think I can be really unbiased. I'm going to say I don't have a dog in the fight. I believe health and fitness should be our number 1 priority. And I see that as our water aerobics in those classes. And I know there's a lot of little kiddos that love to come out there and swim. So again, swim lessons floats to the top for me before rec swim. And I know that's going to make me very unpopular with the community. But when it comes to making these cuts, I think mom and dad can take the kids and go for a hike out in the hills if they can't come swim in the pool. I think swim lessons and physical fitness are what our mission is about. Having if there's any time slots there that we can squeeze in a little bit of that.
So using the facility to its maximum potential.
Sometimes if there's something, there's enough staff and have like Like a mini investment.
Mhm.
There are times when all that happening, which is what Debbie.
And you had, yeah, I mean, and that was popular for you, I mean, you had. Yeah, it was, I think, a staffing issue, right, when it became.
Well, it becomes more popular when that's the only option also.
Yeah, sure, obviously, the like limiting of offerings will change like the participation numbers for sure.
Yeah.
Bottom line is, there's just not enough money to operate the facility.
Yeah. But I still think there's grant applications out there, grants we haven't applied for, money that we haven't applied for, that we still are looking for. And waiting to hear about. There's 138,000 in grant applications still on the table that we haven't heard back about. That is. Depending on what the grants are for, I think they're all for aquatics, so.
And we do have a little small window of time because September is our monthly closure anyway for maintenance.
Yeah, because it's 2 months. To apply to more stuff. Look for donor.
Mhm.
And formulate a stronger Friends of MacRD to work toward the permanent tax rate on the May ballot.
Would it be helpful potentially too for us to look at usage during the months and perhaps come back to the board and say, okay, we're closed in September. We know October is a pretty low usage month, but then swim team starts November, December, January, February, and kind of look at it as we don't have to close for the whole year. Perhaps we look at our high usage times. Like I feel like there's the potential there for something as well.
There's still already routine staff. For
Yeah.
time.
Right.
So that you just stay certified and think that.
Yeah, so I mean, that's all part of the mix. And I think too, if the board said,
Basically to do it that way.
yeah, well, and if the board said we may need to close temporarily because we need to save, we need to have some money in savings, it doesn't mean that it's closed until June. I mean, and if a grant comes up for $200,000 and we happen to get it, then we have some ramp up time. I don't, from my perspective, it's not, this is a final decision and we're, it's a more fluid, here's our financial position.
Yeah,
Here's what we can afford to do, recognizing that we're trying everything we can to figure out that sustainable path forward.
Well, or you have like playing football during September and October. And then the high school team starts in November or whatever, so
you stack your.
Yeah.
Either way, I don't see how. I mean, I don't think that will sway that much from these. Yeah. At this, I mean, there's nothing that's gonna cover this. I mean, I'm just personally not. I'm never comfortable to just plan something for money that might come in or might not. I mean, we don't run our business like that. We run off. Payment.
Yeah,
actually, like we were just having to talk about this, like it's not a sale till the money's in the bank from a customer, like there's a bunch out there, but it's not a sale. And so I think it's the same to me I just like, it's great if something does come in and I know there's ones out, but I don't think we should ever sign on to anything without having that money, knowing for sure.
Like approving a budget that might have a $65,000 deficit.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, especially at this amount, like the other was more like also potential at fundraising or it was told that money could be given. That's a lot different.
Yeah.
Than, a deficit saying like, we have no plan for that money, I think. Still isn't in the bank to both Gene's saying.
So special meeting.
Yeah, so what I would request that the board consider an August. That's like 14 pages ago, hold on. August 14th, potentially. It's the second Wednesday.
I will not be in
Because August 28th is our next meeting and that's from my perspective, too far into August. So if there's the possibility of meeting earlier in the month.
And just really quickly, Courtney, on your grants, you're saying, are they all staggered timeframes or are they like all a kind of a fiscal, like an end coming, or are they all different dates?
They were all due by end of June, so I'm expecting to hear back in July or August.
On
And they're
all
for
of them?
this year.
Yeah, you would hear by end of August.
Yeah.
On all that you.
I would think so. That's my expectation. And then I'm still continuing to look and apply and.
Sure, I mean, like
Right,
that
but-
bulk that you've done.
But that group of them, we should know.
Could other board members do the 14th?
I can.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then Courtney, just to clarify, so for that meeting, you are going to run additional numbers on Perfect. And I know we had many community members say that they would be willing to pay a higher rate. I do have concerns that we could get to the point where we are pricing out a good chunk of our population. However, I cannot speak on behalf of the entire MAC Trust, but maybe we could look to seek more money for scholarships. So if any numbers could be run on what help it would be and how much you think rates could raise that would still be reasonable, bearable, and allow for.
What we can do is look at what the funding gap is
Yeah.
when we get to that point, and then determine if we can make that up through fees or not.
Okay. Okay,
I think
thank you.
that's-
Okay, so I'm sorry, Courtney, so we are canceling the August 28th meeting and moving it to, or are we looking to have a special meeting and keeping the 28th on the books?
I would like to have the special meeting on the 14th and
Okay.
keep the 28th
Okay,
on the books, please.
fine.
Six PM,
Yes.
And what time?
6 PM.
Thank you. Item number 3 on our agenda for the work session, standing updates.
Well, so sustainability plans and May 2025 election updates, I think we just talked about that unless there's anything the board has to add.
No.
Same with updates on grants and fundraising. I think, we talked about
Mhm.
the number of grants that are out and that we're waiting to hear back. For capital improvements and other maintenance projects, for our September 1st through 30th maintenance closure, we're focusing on all of our annual inspections for the boilers, the HVAC system, and all the systems that we have. We do have some leaks in the pump room that are going to be addressed with Pool and Spa House coming out and helping us with that. We've also asked them to do a walkthrough, the Pool and Spa House to do a walkthrough of the pump room and anything associated with the pools to get a sense from them of what the minimum requirements will be to maintain it. If we do end up having to close down for any period of time. And then also talk about other potential investments we could be making preventatively on our pumps and the pump room. The other piece for the maintenance closure is that we will be, deep cleaning the locker rooms and bathrooms and the concrete in the natatorium and doing all of that, the deep cleaning stuff that we typically do. What am I forgetting?
So you've
Just
already
housekeeping
halted non-critical items and obviously.
Yes.
I mean, I already know we talked about that previously.
Yeah.
But like, there's nothing else being spent for that.
Right. So originally we had budgeted to replace the domestic water heater. That is on hold. She's still kicking. Give her a kiss every time I go back there. Keep running, kid. So that's still working. There's nothing. I would say the only things that we're doing are annual maintenance and then trying to address preventative.
But that
maintenance
doesn't
where we
have an
can.
expected even life for through the year, correct? Do you expect that?
The domestic water heater, I don't know. We're just, even if something happened and it stopped working completely, the impact is that people have cold showers.
Right.
So from my perspective, it's not like a boiler for heating the pools or, you know,
Only for the shower.
it's really only for the domestic water.
Be good for districts, make them swim faster. What was the other item that was about to break? It is a.
Oh, that's the other thing I was gonna tell you. We do have, so you remember last year we had that leak in the lap pool?
Yeah.
It is leaking again. And they're coming out August 4th. We caught it within a few weeks of it happening rather than a few months. So we're getting better. And so the cost for that is somewhere in the $2,000 to $5,000 range, depending on how many hours it takes him to repair it.
Okay.
So that is something that's happening in August. The other thing that we were planning to do was refurbish our blocks and
Right.
all of those things. We are still going to refurbish the blocks because it's for districts. Assuming that this, and I have gotten word from the school district that they are willing to pay that extra. And so we are planning to move forward with that project as well. And that's about $5,000 or $6,000 that's already budgeted in expenditures.
For the leak in the lap pool, have we already reached out to the Deschutes Valley Water District? If
We
there's
have
anything they can
not.
do?
We have not.
Okay.
But when we see the bill and the data, it's hard in the summer because we do use more water. If it's exponentially higher than last month, then we will reach out to them.
How did we discover this?
Amanda walked by and said, that doesn't look right. And it's because the patch has come undone. And so you can see that it's sucking the water through. But we got on it pretty quickly.
But that has the potential to be a lot more than two, like if it can't be patched again, right?
Well, so it can't be patched again. If he says, oh, we're gonna patch this, but we're gonna probably have to come back in 3 months or 2 months, or, you know, when they do that analysis, they'll tell us how long they expect it to last. The last time they came, they said it can last anywhere from a year or 5. I mean, they just don't know. It depends. So we'll see what he says.
September.
So they actually recommend not draining them, that it's easier for them to patch and do all the things. When we drain the pool, it actually causes more challenges for the liner than helps, because when the water is in it, it keeps everything where it's supposed to be. And when it's drained, it can get a little loose. So we're looking at not draining the pools this September, beyond what we would need to do to just clean tile and stuff inside of it. Those are my updates.
Any board questions on standing updates? Okay, then we will close the work session at 8:05. Would the board like a little break before we head into the business meeting?
Okay.
Okay, then I will convene the business meeting of the McRD Board of Directors on Wednesday, July 24th, 2024 at
8:06.
8:06, thank you. Looking at roll call, Chair Siebold is present, Vice Chair Foster Drago.
Present.
Secretary Treasurer McCloskey.
Present.
Board Member Seppa is absent.
She's present. She just had to take a call. She's on call.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
She's present.
Perfect. We will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh my gosh. Oh, my leg's stuck.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The land acknowledgement. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. In Central Oregon, we are standing on the ancestral lands of the Wasco, Warm Springs, and Paiute people. We pay respects to their elders, past and present. Now we are looking for an adoption of the agenda.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Lynn. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Agenda has been adopted as presented. Oh, we are looking now for an appointment of fiscal year 2024-25 board leadership.
Canada, do you want to stay as the chair?
I would be willing to stay as chair.
I would also stay as vice unless you would like to do it too.
I make a motion that we keep positions.
Because you say okay.
Yep.
Things.
Is there a
Okay,
second
I'll
for that?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I know if I said willing, not wanting.
Willing.
Yeah, there's a difference. Okay, next up, we have correspondence, looking at patron comment cards, emails, and other communications regarding McCarty operations.
Oh, I'm going the wrong way. I'm sorry. Okay, so the first piece of correspondence in the packet is the receipt of abstract from the Jefferson County Clerk of the May election. And so I signed the document certifying it, but this is the by precinct election results, just as a FYI to the board. The second piece is a thank you note we got from Elton Gregory. This is the one that Deanna, you came and saw with all those middle school, we had
Yes.
230, like a lot of middle school kids, 8th graders. And so this is a nice thank you note that we got from them that we wanted to share with the board.
That is fantastic.
You know what, I had to look up where Elton Gregory was. It's Redmond, not that was.
Yes.
They came here so that you think the facility in Redmond.
Yep. This is the second or third year that they've come here.
Third.
And they said, we'll see you next year. So
Maybe we don't charge enough.
yeah, could be. The next email that I included in the packet, I would just like to note came on Thursday, June 27th from ActiveNet, that as of July 1st, there would be a 7.5% increase to our fees. So they had emailed at the beginning of June that this was coming and we got it. So it's a 7.5% increase.
And they had increased 6%
in
just a few months prior.
February or March.
Yeah.
Yes. The next piece of correspondence is from a young, I'm assuming young man, Javen Struck, inviting you to the 4-H FFA Youth Livestock Auction, and wanted the board to be aware of that and consider attending. And that is all of our correspondence.
Excellent. Next on the agenda is visitor section public comment. Members of the public are welcome to speak to the board of directors during this time on any topic. They should sign in at the beginning of the meeting and be recognized by the board chair. Speakers are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes. Would anyone care to speak at this time? Trudy.
So I'm coming as transparency for the community. I'm one, I've always supported the map. Like I said, when they talk about drownings, that's why the doctors created the map, was because of the drownings. So all the budgets, everything that was created with the levies and everything else was just for a pool. So yes, there's an issue whenever they added the land stuff. So, but anyway, I feel like the board's biggest concern is protection of the asset of the school. That is like huge. And maybe once again, if we can't do both good, maybe if we can do one. I don't know what that means. I heard someone saying something about someone else doing the land. And like why, maybe someone else did the land stuff and you guys just focus on the pool or vice versa, but I don't know. So I'm kind of a numbers geek. Courtney knows that. I think you all know that. So when I try to be like really analytical and, I have lots of coworkers, I have lots of friends, I have family members, my daughters, oh my gosh. I've been fighting for the MAC for years because Dr. Kemper and Dr. Evans, I worked for both of them when, they put a lot of time into it. So sometimes in my communication, I'm not here to be the popular one, I'm here to be honest. And I don't really think that a lot of people talk with you. And so I started, like when I started getting feedback, I went to the numbers. And I'm gonna say that I crunched these numbers quickly. They could be off, and Courtney can fix me, and she can fix it on record. Okay, so I'm saying that. So the biggest thing, the biggest complaint that I have been hearing lately is the wages. And specifically with the executive director, which I've been so verbal and trying to make everybody aware. Leave the executive director alone. This is a board decision, not the executive director. So to me, anybody that wants to complain about the wage of the executive director, they need to come to you. And that's where the answers need to be. But what I can tell you is that when I look at the numbers, 24% of your wages are administration. I'm not sure if that's 1, 2 people. That seems off. 34% of your materials and services also is admin. On April 4th of 24, you had a wage scale that was approved. I don't know where the wage scale, I mean, I don't know. I know that salary surveys, those things come from different things. I tried to do some research on that. Recently, I've been in Boardman at their campground, which is ran by the district there. So I got, I'm gonna check this out. Well, why I've always promoted Courtney to have this position when I left and could leave because I knew you were in good hands. Look at theirs. Look, just go to Boardman's website for anybody who wants to complain. There's 1 set of minutes on there, not one. There is one agenda. There's nothing about the budget. There's no budget minutes, nothing. And so that's why you have someone like Courtney. But what I don't understand when I look at your wage scale, so I couldn't find anything out about Boardman, but a town like Boardman is pretty much like Mattress. There's not going to be large tax dollars, things like that. I'm not sure if they were part of your salary survey, which you couldn't tell anyway, so they don't have anything. Yeah, I just, it should be kind of like the same. You don't just look at this rec district and this rec district. It's what are the services? What are the hours? What are the number of people they're servicing? How much do things cost in that community? Is the cost of living? What is the, can I buy a gallon of milk cheaper? Like those types of things. For instance, when I worked at the hospital years ago, and I mean, we made less to work in Madras because it was cheaper to live in Madras. Was it hard for retention? Yes, but that's what we did. We knew it. But when I look at your wage scale, the other thing, usually wage scales from steps is usually about 15 to 25% difference from steps. I encourage you to look at your wage scale. Your wage scale is pretty good on that approved wage scale, but only by rumor. The executive director is actually about 50% difference in the wage from your deputy director, and which I would assume would be like the right-hand man to the, but I know we don't have one of those. But it's about 65% of the program manager. So there is a huge difference. That's what the board needs to be prepared to explain to the community. Why would there be this huge discrepancy? Because that's what they're like, what? Why? So
I'm gonna say, Trudy, you know the answer to that. When you worked under that other executive director, you were finance. This one does it both.
Yeah.
So you already know that answer.
That's like a,
Yeah, but that was the
salary is gone and her salary.
but I did not make that. There's always been that discrepancy in this organization, from the executive director to, Greg's in this room, he'll tell you the same. It has always traditionally always been more than 25%. And so you have, I don't know what you do about that. You have a problem there. But is probably nothing you can do. I'm not sure. But just know that's why you get the feedback. And when people really crunch the numbers, I can't. All I can do is say, look up Boardman, go see how out of line they are. And then, know that you get what you pay for, so, but anyway, I just want to make sure that you guys are kind of aware of some of those things. Yeah, it is just something that, you have to be careful of. I worked really hard to get, to say keep this organization. It's the reason why I got involved. And there's no way you can do that with one person doing everything. How you guys are getting around it, I have no idea. But, it's fine. I get it. But when you're paying high dollar to do something that, somebody with my wage was doing, it, at some point, I mean, I don't know what you do about it. What you do about it, but it's just it is just a tough thing. But, and the other thing, and I'm sorry for legal issues, if this is an issue, I guess, you can sue me and take my money back. But, if I would have had to have done payroll and this place was closed on Saturday and Sunday and there was no recreation swim, I would have kicked and screamed, and every single one of these board members would have heard from me, because I could not have paid the bills without recreation swim. So I don't know where that comes from, and maybe times have changed. I don't know.
I think that's a big part of
But
it. Yeah.
holy cow. Without that revenue on Saturday and Sunday, I would have had an anxiety attack. Honestly. So I mean, and I don't know what you do about that, but anyway, the other thing you need to think about when you do whatever you're doing, you're gonna have to reimburse memberships. So hopefully you're seeing that into. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
It's really good to see you, Trudy. and really appreciate, the things you brought up, and I think that's interesting about Boardman, because that's not been one that we've looked at, and we do have information on all of the wage scale and the different things we looked at, and well, we had also a national, by position, by services provided to get to what that median was, and it was still under what it should be.
They've got it going on there.
Yeah.
I mean, that campground that they run, and they,
I've heard the same, that it's
awesome. The path, we had a great time.
Yeah.
They really have it going on over there, and look at their tax levy, it's only 20.
Boardman has a huge presence of utility value.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, one of those awesome things for them, but that is a really big difference where it's things don't all look, or it's not apples to apples, but it is, I would just say it is a completely different structured and organized and on all fronts, on the things that do make money, on the analysis that's been done. And I really appreciate you bringing up those concerns that you have on the wage scale and sharing that.
Yeah, I don't know what you do about it, because you've got someone that's totally qualified, that totally, probably fit, and maybe that's the answer. And maybe that's the answer, for, maybe because of,
And we also have to be looking at, other potential changes on that front, and for retention, and how would we even go about recruiting someone? And I'm not at all confident that at the current rate, we would be able to get someone. So to me, much like what you said of you're not worried about being popular, neither am I. And so I very much stand behind that. And it's fine that people, I appreciate you saying to direct people to the board, because that is who voted for the salary, and that is the people who choose the wage. So this group doesn't have, people all voted how they voted. So this group stands behind that, but of the other items you brought up and everything, I just appreciate you bringing up and also for forward thinking on some of those things, because that is, all of those are gonna be realities from reimbursement to all of it.
And Trudy, as somebody who cares about the party and with the diversity of opinions you can bring, I really hope you'll consider joining the PAC so that you can bring some of those additional voices for people who might not come and might not share with us. For you to be able to help share
Of the honesty.
All of these people that, you know, that's who need, or they need to be on that too, that it's passion
I know.
that's going to get it.
Yeah.
But for me, there can't be anything, nothing hidden. My problem with the last levy was the fact that it said that you won't be paying any. Well, with a bond that's gonna be paid for, you actually is more. So to me, that's the only thing. I can back something up as long as we're truthful, that it actually is more, it's not less. I mean, it actually is additional, it's not the same, because the bond would have been paid for. So.
Clarification, the statement was our total combined taxes that we pay would not be anymore. True statement.
But as of 2025, a large amount, which is the bond, would have been paid for. Just, you know, that one just, yeah. And then I do have concern that bond money that we have never touched, what would happen to this organization if we would have had it, not with Courtney, but in the past. You know, when we've had some.
Very concerned.
Yeah, and so that's, you know, and that is then when the board steps up and says, that's why I have somebody that is qualified, you know, to.
And knows that all it's.
Yes, so.
And
but
to
then-
manage the funds, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, I would join as long as you come up with a product that I can back. I would.
Okay.
I would either, you know. But, and I don't know, I like to bring honesty.
No, we appreciate
to
the honesty.
I don't know, and it just seems like everybody and I thought. I didn't even know if I did come. I did. So.
Well, we're glad you did.
Anyway,
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
if me putting my foot in my mouth can help the organization move forward, I would do that. But hopefully nothing that I've said is taken out of context and. Whatever.
We appreciate you, Trudy. Thank you.
And thank you for coming.
Yes.
Well, sorry. And glad nobody likes to be popular.
Would anyone else care to speak? Did we have anyone join Zoom? No. Okay.
Didn't hear Irby gets up at what, 3?
Oh, probably.
This
Okay.
is my bedtime.
I know. Next up on the agenda, we have the financial reports.
Okay, so in your board packet are the May reports. So these are, you know, a bit outdated, but because we had our June meeting on June 12th, the May reports were not ready yet. And then for June, because we wait until the audit is finalized, we don't have finalized June financials until September-ish. I did finalize the June month end and delivered it to our treasurer
Yesterday.
like this week. What was that? Yesterday. For what we know as of right now. So I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on the May financials just because, like I said, they're 2 months old. But if anybody has questions about any of them, please feel free to ask them. I will go to, sorry, I'm speeding forward to the draft June financials. And I just want to be really clear with the board that we are showing a negative ending fund balance for last fiscal year of $13,000. When I went back and looked at the election, we spent $46,000 on the May 2024 election, which is why we're negative. So I just want to be very clear and transparent about that with you. The other piece is, yes, we spent approximately $46,000 on the May 2024 election process.
When we go out again next, can any of that be leveraged? Any of the Or are we looking at another?
We're probably looking at another at least 30,000. The thing that will make it a little bit less is that we will not need to seek bond counsel next year because the bond will be paid off and we won't need to look at defeasance and all the different options there.
The answer, so.
So hopefully that bill is less. 40, yeah, the bulk of the amount was legal.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, you were in the middle of something.
But STA
No, that's okay.
said that was what we had to do, correct?
Yes. I mean, and they had asked me to track it so that they could go to the state and say, look, this is a burden on special districts and others. We need to figure out a better way of managing permanent tax rate changes than having to put, because that's only our piece of it. That doesn't include the county's piece of putting their measure forward.
So did they pad it and make it look better for their case?
That's what the county to add.
What did it cost us to do the previous levy? What's a normal amount for?
So it depends because it depends on what else is on the ballot.
That's right.
The number of things on the ballot, it gets apportioned out. When in the past, when we've had 3 board positions on a ballot, it's around $4,000 for a May election.
Okay.
That's what we're looking at for 2025 if the board wasn't going forward with the dissolution reform. Is 3. So on the May 25 election, there will be 5 positions for the new district, 3 positions for the existing district.
3, I thought it was 2.
I think it's 3. I think it's Jaleesa, Janelle, and Deanna are the 3.
Oh, I didn't think it was Jaleesa.
Let me look.
I think
I
it
have
was
it.
just.
I thought it was 3. Yes. Yes. The same person can run for both boards, I believe. And not run for the new board. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, do they have to run for both boards?
I don't know. Yes.
A new person would have to run for both boards, a board that passes and a board that doesn't pass.
Correct.
Good question.
Oh, I'm sorry. So it's Deanna and Lynn
Oh,
that are
that's
up in
right.
May. I apologize.
When was Jaleesa? Sorry, could you speak to
Yeah.
27 is Jean, Janelle, and Jaleesa.
Okay. Okay, if there's nothing else for financials, then we are looking for a motion on the consent agenda.
I still move to approve the consent.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jean. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion passes. Consent agenda is approved as presented. Next up, we are looking for a motion on resolution 2025-01, establishing the annual procedures of the MAC Recreation District.
So this is your annual resolution, establishing all of the procedures. So it has me listed as budget officer, district recording secretary. Shauna Hicks is the safety coordinator. Our lead certified pool operator is Amanda Bailey, with our backup CPOs as Peyton, Shauna, and myself. Sensiba is our auditor. Special Districts Insurance Services is our insurance agent of record. SAFE is our workers' comp agent of record. Umpqua Bank as our bank of record, Bryant Loveleen and Jarvis as our attorney of record, and the Madras Pioneer with the Bend Bulletin as a backup is our local newspaper for public notification. That Bend Bulletin backup is really in case we have to call a special meeting and the Pioneer isn't published till Wednesday, and so it allows us to do it a little bit sooner. Our signers on our accounts are Deanna, Jean, Janelle, and myself. Contract signature authority stays with Deanna as the board chair and myself. We will talk about our regular board meeting dates on the schedule in the next one of our upcoming items. And that is the resolution that we're asking the board to adopt.
Are there any questions or discussion on resolution 2025-01? Is there a motion on this resolution?
I moved to approve resolution 2025-01.
Thank you, Janelle. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lynn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes. Next up on the agenda is consideration of the fiscal year 2024-25 Board of Directors meeting schedule.
So this meeting schedule is listed as our current meeting schedule is the fourth Wednesdays of each month, although there are a few months where we are proposing that we meet on the third Wednesday because of holidays or spring break. And so those are noted with an asterisk. And then given that the board set up a special meeting on August 12th, I'll add that to whatever is approved. And then at the end of the year, May and June, we have the budget committee meetings, and that's why they're on the third Wednesday instead of the fourth as well.
So November 27th is the day before Thanksgiving, right?
I think it's the week. I looked at this.
Yep. It's the day before.
Oh, I was thinking the 21st, the 22nd. Do you want to move that to the 20th, to the 3rd?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Is there any discussion or questions on the fiscal year 2024-25 Board of Directors meeting schedule? Is there a motion on the schedule?
All to approve the meeting schedule?
As adjusted?
As
For
adjusted.
November. Thank you, Jean. All in favor?
Okay.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next up on the agenda is considering authorizing the executive director to initiate staff layoffs effective August 31st, 2024. Do we need that now or do we address that on the 18th?
So
Or 14th?
Yeah, now we wait.
I think, so according to SDAO's risk attorney, there is no legal requirement for notice. You just want to notice your employees as soon as you can. All of our employees, we've been very transparent. All of our employees know that this is a conversation we're having. I think we can wait until August 12th. But I also think that it may be helpful for you to make that motion tonight because regardless of what we present on the 12th, there will be layoffs associated with this reduction. We just don't know how much they will be.
The reduction will be, did I miss that part in the earlier part?
Yes, but we got new information tonight at 5:30 right before the meeting. So that's why we're having the special meeting is to finalize what that reduction would look like. But either way, there will be layoffs because we cannot maintain our current staffing level with the gap in funding that we have.
And so like, what is your, like, I mean, to be able to make a motion on it, don't we, I guess I don't understand what amount of layoffs.
We're just authorizing her to make any adjustments that are necessary.
So what you're doing is you're
Okay.
authorizing me if necessary to lay staff off to move forward with a reduction in force. What I do at that point is I will send a memo out and post a memo for all of our staff to know that this is something we're considering. But like I said, we've been verbally sharing it with all of our teams, so everybody knows that this conversation is happening. So it's up to the board if you want to make that motion tonight or if you want to wait until August 12th. But we are going to have to do a reduction in force at some level.
You send us a list of the grants that you've already applied for.
I have a running folder of all the things. I haven't sent anything to the board. I mean, I can certainly put something together and send it to you if you'd like.
I think it would be nice to have, and I think it would also be something that could post. We get the back of our page back up.
It's permanently down,
It's
yeah.
permanently got.
Yeah.
Like shut down.
Yeah.
Permanent. We have to make a whole new.
Yeah. And my email account,
It's
through
having
FRD is now on I cannot.
You're now blocked.
Yeah,
from
blocked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're an on-prem.
Yeah. I am unloved and unwanted, according to men.
So.
You are blocked, yeah.
Anyway, but I think it's something that comes up a lot, like, people don't know that you're doing all this work applying to grants all the time. And it's something to keep updated. Even on our website, maybe like adding a section of like current grant applications out there, like, because that has been one of the big things people want to know, that we're actually doing something, because they feel like if they don't know, that we're not doing it.
I can certainly add something to the governance site with a list of all the organizations we've applied to. That's easy. And then I can send a link out to the board.
Expect to hear by like the.
I can say the date that it was submitted or the date that it was due. Yeah.
So people will bring up grants to me, I'm like, I don't know
Right,
what
yeah.
I'm doing, so.
Tell them to forward it to me.
Yeah.
I can't be like, oh, yeah, we already applied to that. Like, I have no idea.
Yep, I can do that.
That lady that spoke in the.
Yeah, we're gonna hire her.
We're gonna reach out
To be a
her.
volunteer.
Yeah.
To be a volunteer grant researcher, right?
Yes.
Don't do this.
Okay, so going back to a possible motion, is there one?
I would make the motion. I think it's a no harm, no foul, you know.
I mean,
We know
you
it's
have to be-
coming. I'll make the motion that we authorize our executive director to initiate staff layoffs if necessary, effective August 31st.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Janelle. All in favor? Aye. Yeah. Any opposed? No. Motion passes. Executive Director report.
Given, wait, who seconded? That was Janelle.
Yes.
Given the information that came out last Wednesday, I did not have a chance to put an executive director report together, and I apologize.
Well, I think we've heard everything.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going, there's a lot of really great things going on. I've had so many people stop by the front desk and ask to talk to me and say how much they appreciate all the work that the board is doing, that the staff are doing, that
Really nice.
you know, it's, so I think that we just continue to move forward positively in that we're looking for a sustainable path for this district to continue serving the communities that we love to serve with health and wellness. I mean, that's our mission, right? That is that. And so, you know, we've got our Knights in, what's the name of the camp?
Castles and Dragons.
Knights, Castles and Dragons camp. The kids are having a lot of fun. We've got our junior swim team program that Peyton is going to be running in August, is taking signups right now. The goal of the junior swim team is to bridge our level 5 swim lessons with Madras swim team so that kids build their skills before they're expected to be on a competitive swim team. So we're testing this out.
They're not on the competitive. It's a
Correct.
non-compete.
It's like a rec league for swimming. Yep. It's a 4-week program. Is it 8?
Yeah, that's what I'm like thinking. If I was just gonna send her.
Didn't we say 8?
I think we did like. I mean, we can make exceptions. The whole point is that they need to know how to swim because they will be in the lap pool. But it's basically getting them from that 27-minute lesson to a 45-minute swimming. Because. Yeah.
So it's kind of bridging them because what we heard from Madras swim team is that some of the kids that were going to be on swim team weren't ready.
Yeah.
And so there's this gap that we're hoping to fill with that.
It's the first full week of August, like that Wednesday, Friday, from 4 to
junior swim team.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great things happening. I also had a gentleman reach out to me today requesting information about our building, about our financials. Of course, I sent him to the governance webpage and he said, oh yeah, it's all there. Because he has someone who may be an interested investor. I don't know what that looks like. We've been down this road before as an organization and it did not lead anywhere. And so I said, I'm happy to have conversations. I'll bring our board chair in, you know, if they continue to reach out. But just want to share that I did have someone reach out for information for a potential investor. And like I said, I don't know what that means. I said, does this mean someone wants to go private with the MAC? Do they want to just donate money? And he said, well, we don't know yet. We just want to look at all of your data. So that happened. I don't know. It's just a potential investor. So
That was the one
that's the one Janelle heard from and sent to me.
Oh, her.
What else?
Getting random texts that were.
How many do we end up with tackle?
27.
We ended up with 27 tackle football players.
Oh, wow.
So we have 27 kids signed up for tackle. Last year, we had a similar number and did 2 teams. After talking with the coaches and looking at the ages of the kids, we're actually going to do one big football team this year, which we think will create more camaraderie, more team spirit, more excitement, and then the kids won't get as tired. They can miss a game and it doesn't kill the whole team. And our coaches, Tim Berge and TJ Machete, are really excited for the season. And that booster group is motivated. They're trying to get some really cool things going to try and raise money. So
How many are signed up to play?
I haven't looked at
I haven't looked at the numbers with everything that's been happening. I've been trying not to make myself sad.
Yeah, so I haven't looked at it. I can tell you, as I look at the revenue every week, we've had a number of signups for both flag football and soccer that have already started coming through. I just haven't looked at the numbers. There's quite a few. That's for not having.
Rent equipment. Like run.
If we weren't running it, we would work with someone to do that. Yes, we would certainly work with anyone. That is it for my report.
Okay, board member highlights.
It's fair. Last week, there were a lot of volunteers down at the fairgrounds setting up and cleaning and, yeah, it's fair, go visit fair.
Yeah.
I saw your kids bring stuff into, Kids Corner. We were taking entries in textiles.
Jean, do we want to talk about your letter to the editor?
Yeah.
Now too? Yeah. So read it, loved it. I do have one suggestion request, a new bullet number 4. Going to Trudy's point and some of the other things that folks had mentioned, I think it would be beneficial to note something along the lines of, over the past however many years, salaried leadership positions have been decreased from X down to,
sorry, I was falling asleep. I started turning off.
Down to 2 in pursuit of cost savings, to help kind of illustrate the fact that we've rolled many different jobs into one.
That letter's a work in progress. So
Okay.
take the document.
I'll email it to you.
I have a lot of help in
Yeah.
preparing it, so, and if it's gonna be all of us, everybody should have input.
Love it.
Yeah.
Right here, as an class.
So it may have been changed to the one I sent back to Courtney. I made some tweaks and sent it back to Courtney, and then you resent it out again.
I forwarded
We're
what
talking
you
about
sent me.
something different
Yeah.
than this. Right. That's not the letter to the editor, right?
So it's to avoid a serial meeting on email. Jean sent it to me and then I sent it out to the board.
I'll email you, or I'll email you directly, Jean.
That was the one she was thinking, or you were trying to do that monthly newsletter too, to the Pioneer. Well, this is the whole separate, the letter to the editor, separate from the news.
I can't use that. I thought this was the start of doing the first.
We got 2 documents. We got one to do the little news article about what's going on that you may want to add in some more, about the.
Junior swim team.
Yeah. And then a letter to the editor, because Tony asked us for our monthly story to be upbeat and informational as to what's going on. But the letter to the editor is more from us, the board, saying, or detailed, a little bit of doom and gloom, I don't know,
Yeah, okay,
so there's 2 documents floating. Okay.
perfect. And that's gonna go as soon as possible, right? So you'd like feedback?
We could get it in by Friday.
Okay. I'll email you tomorrow my feedback on it.
This one is the letter. That was in the attachment you sent.
I forwarded the letter to the editor. Yes.
Yeah. Any other board highlights?
She needs to only sit on the other side of wings.
Oh, the ear.
So everything I've been trying to tell her, I have to write, and I look like I'm a high schooler writing
Passing notes.
That's the feedback everyone's gonna get from this meeting is that I'm sitting here writing G notes.
I can hear a lot better on this.
Nancy Peterson came and she used to be on the board and she couldn't hear, so she finally put the board. She was like, my hearing was so bad. She was like, it was too loud. It was.
Yeah.
But she came to. That, I think that. was one of the
Use your
highlights.
mind voice on me.
See, I do know. Just all the support from the community and like everyone that uses our facility and hearing their stories, I think is gonna be really helpful for the Friends of Macro Diva. It's really cool to see that we mostly had supporters here.
Yeah.
That was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, we haven't. I think the kids may be coming here soon, so that's a positive, but Canyon's football camp got canceled, so. And now football's gonna get canceled, so. I haven't.
We'll see what we can do. I've got
The
thoughts.
morning of- We had a campfire camp.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, fun, but it was just.
I just agree with that, hearing that so many people have been coming to the front and saying those things, I think, it's. I think also it, to me, is hopeful for the May. Or for the election, because obviously we had such a short window, which we all knew in this time, and we didn't have much time to get. Things out, and I think then people are seeing, I think definitely people are now compared to before the election, understanding more. The severity of the situation, so I think that's also good for awareness, because hopefully then people will. Vote differently in May, so
Yeah,
that's
we were
I'm gonna
by
be optimistic for that.
I'm glad we got the by district information in, so we can drill down where our efforts.
I'm also glad we're all still on the board together till May.
Yeah.
Depending if any of us get reelected. For both of the board.
There's a lot of new people.
I know.
For the first time, I'd have to run unopposed. Run opposed. Run with someone going to. I don't even know what it's called. I probably shouldn't run just for that reason.
My only other positive is I've gotten some additional reach outs over the last few days as the county stuff has come up from folks involved in that process. So we've got a lot of supporters in addition to folks who came tonight. So that's been really nice to hear. And audit stuff has already started. So I've already started having the preliminary meetings, which is very exciting. So
I'll tell you, I got the audit list and I thought, I'm still working on the budget. I can't, I'm not ready.
Thank you, Janice, for still continuing as the chair of our board. We sure.
Thank you for.
Yeah.
Did not. You can start reviewing the. We're gonna have to somehow recruit people for Friends of Macro Diva.
I think we've got a good crop of folks that.
Yeah, there you go.
I need that list.
Okay, if there's nothing else for the board meeting, we will adjourn at 8:51.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jean.
Do you want me to sign the resolutions?
I need to print all that stuff. I'm sorry.
Just wait, that's fine.
I'll just do it all together. I signed my kids up for it.
So it's kind of the same as voting schedule, it's twice a week for 4 weeks instead of running.